It came again. The dream within a dream. The alien mind within the ailing mind. Drowning in the treacherous whirlpool near the shores of sleep, I fought to reach the firm reality of consciousness, of awakening, but I was sucked back and slowly sank beneath the surface into the horror of the dream. I stood on a lonely stretch of beach in a blue night, the sand glistening wide against the inky darkness of sky and water. Waves rolled and tumbled toward me in noisy confusion. Beyond the apron of sand were the small black beetle shapes of a cluster of house trailers, but my eyes were focused on the figure which stood far up the beach, and an unknown terror crawled like a furry, many-legged animal down the nape of my neck. "No!" The wind snatched the single cry of protest from my lips and tore it into thin shreds of sound. And the alien mind spoke in my ear, in my mind, but not of it. A whispered insinuation. "Drown," it urged. "Drown." I didn't move. My legs seemed to have grown into the sand like the trunks of trees. The voice spoke again in my mind, louder, more compelling. "Walk! Now! Into the water!" I stood resisting the terrifying power of the voice. The figure up the beach seemed closer, blurred by the cold wind that brought tears to my eyes. I stood rooted and my body bent as if a gale tugged and pulled at it. My legs began to tremble uncontrollably. The command hammered at me with a relentless pressure, filling my mind, blotting out all consciousness save for the drumming of words, overwhelming in their brutal strength. And one foot moved. I took a step, awkwardly, stiffly, like a rusty robot lifting its leg. I struggled to force my body to obey the protest of my own will. "No! Stop! Don't move!" But the cry of resistance was obliterated by the command that swelled within my brain. "Walk! Walk! Walk!" Feet dragged, resisting in the soft sand. Then there was the packed wet surface, dark footprints, and the cold spray against my face. The water swirling around my ankles, receding rapidly away from me down the wet brown slope. I stumbled after it, impelled by the irresistible force, each step a painful conflict that racked my body. I flung a wild glance toward the figure on the beach. Closer now, much closer, moving in for the kill. And I felt anger, raging, helpless anger, mixed with the terror. A breaker cracked like a whip ahead of me. The foaming tail of the wave tumbled and crashed around me, washing above my knees. For a single moment I braked to a stop. I could feel the fabric of my suit plastered wet against my legs. I fought again and lost. Walk, drown, one step, then another. The water waist-high, dragging against my thighs, a numbing cold. A breaker rising, trembling at its crest, smashing down to drive me off my feet, tumbling me helplessly in the churning violence. "Up, on your feet, walk!" Eyelids heavy and wet, the salt taste on my tongue, the cold bone deep. Staggering, half falling, dragging myself forward against the pull of the water. Another breaker and I fell face forward into it. My whole body was numb and wet and shivering, and the chill penetrated my brain where the voice pounded at me with its relentless power, shattering my will, dominating me as if I were a simple-minded child, driving me onward step by step. Another wave broke over me, lifting me off my feet and slamming me back, the water filling my eyes and nose and mouth as I went under. I swallowed water and came up choking with a heavy pain in my chest. "Drown! Drown!" The voice spoke pitilessly, and I staggered forward once more. And at last I was beyond the line of the breakers, out where the water rose with a slow heaviness, building high behind me. And there was a new strength in the deep pull of the water flowing out to sea. Another step, another, still one more. And I tried to ask why, but my brain would not function. The water rose above my head, and I went down, down, sinking into the cold black waters. The voice was triumphant, exulting, reaching through the tumultuous sea to the numbness of my brain. "Now, drown! Give yourself to the water! Die!" In the last moment, panic came. the body retching, trying to disgorge the deadly water, the mind recoiling from the black abyss that beckoned, now so near, so tempting. And I tried to push up from the bottom of the sea, but the water was a thick, impenetrable wall toppling down upon me. I could see a layer of light near the surface, and I strained frantically to reach it, to grope beyond it toward the life-giving air. The alien mind which had driven me under was now. The mind was silent. I woke shivering in my bed. The sheets were damp with sweat. I lay rigid, unable to move. The panic drained out slowly. I thought of nothing, staring dully at the sleek surface of the plastic ceiling overhead. When at last the terror had ebbed away, I felt empty and cold and spent, as if all strength and sinew had rushed out through the opening where the fear had gone. A dream, I told myself. Only a dream. But the feeble reassurance carried no conviction. The barrier against thought which I had erected gave way, and the chill knowledge of what was happening to me spilled through the breach to strike with sickening impact. I was going mad.